Welcome to another deep dive with us. Are you ready for this?
Always.
Today we're getting strategic, like really strategic.
Oh, I love it.
We'll be looking at Robert Greene's The 33 Strategies of War and how these military and war strategies can be applied to everyday life.
Awesome.
You might not be leading an army into battle.
Right.
But you are facing battles every day, in your career, your relationships, just getting through life, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
The 33 Strategies of War have some seriously insightful stuff. So in this deep dive, we'll unpack those principles.
Okay.
And try to see how they play out in our daily lives.
I like it.
We're going to cover a lot of ground, including some really fascinating examples from history and psychology. We'll talk about Margaret Thatcher.
Yeah.
We'll talk about Napoleon.
Okay.
And even this really intriguing thing called the death ground strategy.
Oh, interesting.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So let's dive right into part one, which focuses on what Greene calls self-directed warfare. This is all about mastering yourself before you can even think about, mastering the challenges around you.
Makes sense.
The first thing that really grabbed me was the importance of mental fortitude, like being tough mentally.
Yeah, resilience.
Yeah, exactly. And Greene has this concept called the counterbalance strategy.
Oh, tell me about that.
Okay, so imagine this.
Yeah.
You're in the middle of chaos, right? Everything's going wrong. But you stay calm.
Okay.
You maintain this steady presence of mind.
A rock,
Exactly. You're a rock in a stormy sea, and that's what counterbalance is all about.
I like that visual.
It's a great way to think about it.
Yeah.
Now, Greene uses General George S. Patton as an example.
Patton.
Yeah, the famous World War II general.
Yeah, of course. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Early in his career, Patton actually really struggled with fear and self-doubt.
Really? I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah, and Greene highlights this incident during World War I.
Where Patton's leading a tank division.
Okay.
And they get pinned down by German fire.
Oh, wow.
And Patton, he freezes. He's paralyzed by fear.
I can't imagine that.
It's an incredible story, right?
No.
So instead of letting fear control him, you know what he does.
What's that?
He just acknowledges it.
Hmm.
He confronts it head on.
Interesting.
And pushes through it.
Wow, that's powerful.
Right. It's like he realizes that fear is normal.
Yeah.
It's a universal human experience.
Everyone feels it.
Especially in war.
Yeah.
But what matters is that we don't let it paralyze us.
Don't let it win.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So think about your own life, right? We all face those anxieties and fears, whether it's at work or in our personal lives. But like Patton, we can actually use those moments to become stronger mentally.
I like that.
Now, another really intriguing strategy in this section is something called the death ground strategy.
Death ground strategy.
Yeah.
Okay, now you have my attention.
I know, it sounds a little intense, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
But Greene uses this amazing example of Hernan Cortez, the conquistador, who, conquered the Aztec Empire.
Right, Cortez.
Yeah, so Cortez lands in Mexico, and he makes this radical decision.
Okay.
He burns his ships.
He burned his ships. Why would he do that?
I know, right? It's like, what was he thinking? But he knew that his men, they were outnumbered.
They were facing a fierce enemy.
Yeah, the Aztecs were not messing around.
Bro.
And some of his men were tempted to retreat,
Yeah, back to the safety of Cuba.
Exactly. So by burning the ships, he took that option away.
Wow, that's a bold move.
It was conquer or die at that point.
No turning back.
Exactly. And you know what? That desperation fueled their determination.
Really?
Yeah. And they ended up achieving this improbable victory against all odds.
Because they had no other choice.
I mean, that's a powerful metaphor for how we approach our own goals, right?
I see where you're going with this.
So think about it.
Yeah.
What are those areas in your life where you're holding back out of fear?
Holding back.
Yeah, like that dream job you've always wanted.
Oh, yeah.
Or starting that business, or even, ending a relationship that's not working. Those are your metaphorical ships.
So are you saying we should burn them?
In a way, yes. By mentally burning those ships, you're eliminating that option of retreat.
Okay.
You're forcing yourself to face your fears head on, like Cortez did.
Commit to your goals no matter what.
Exactly.
Wow. I like that.
That sense of urgency can be really powerful.
It can light a fire under you.
It really can.
Mm-hmm.
And, this ties in perfectly with another point Greene makes, the importance of action.
Action.
Yeah, it's not enough to just strategize and think things
You
through.
got to do something.
You have to take action. And he uses this really intense example.
Okay, lay it on me.
It's from the life of Fyodor Dostoevsky.
The novelist.
Yes. Dostoevsky was actually sentenced to death at one point.
What? I didn't know that.
It's a crazy story. He was involved in some revolutionary group, and he was standing before a firing squad, like waiting for the execution.
Oh my gosh.
But at the last possible moment, his sentence was commuted.
Wow, what a relief.
I know, right? But that experience, it completely changed him. He vowed to never waste a single moment of his life again.
That makes sense.
And that urgency, it fueled his writing, and he produced some of his most powerful works after that.
It's like he was given a second chance.
Exactly. And, while we don't need to wait for a near-death experience,
Yeah, hopefully not.
it's about really examining how we're spending our time right
Right.
now. Are we pursuing our passions,
Are you living with a sense of purpose?
Exactly. Because life is unpredictable.
And precious.
Exactly. And this, I think, is a crucial part of that self-directed warfare.
It's about taking control, isn't it?
It is. It's about taking control of your mind, your emotions, and shaping your own destiny.
I like that.
Okay, so we've talked about winning those internal battles, like self-directed warfare.
Right.
But what about out in the real world?
Yeah, like navigating those external challenges.
Exactly. And I think Greene's ideas on strategy can be really useful for leadership and teamwork, too.
Oh, absolutely. That's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah, because you're not just dealing with yourself anymore, You've got other people involved.
You got dynamics.
Group dynamics.
And Greene talks about this thing called groupthink.
Groupthink.
Yeah.
I've heard of that.
And it's like, it can be a real danger.
Oh, yeah, especially in teams and organizations.
Because that's that tendency where everyone just kind of goes along with the group.
To avoid conflict.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if they have doubts.
You want to rock the boat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that can lead to some, like, seriously bad decisions.
Oh, for sure.
Have you ever been in that kind of situation?
Oh, all the time.
Are you like, I don't know about this, but everyone else seems to be on board?
Yeah. Yeah. And you just kind of go along with it.
You don't want to be the difficult one.
Right. Exactly. But deep down, you're like, this is not a good idea.
Mm-hmm. That little voice in the back of your head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do we avoid falling into that trap?
Well, Greene has a strategy for that, too.
Of course he does.
It's called command and control.
Command and control. That sounds a little,
Yeah, it sounds a little strict.
yeah, like authoritarian.
But it's not about being a dictator.
Okay.
It's about finding that balance, between strong leadership and empowering your team.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Giving them a voice.
Exactly. And to illustrate this point, he uses the example of the British Gallipoli campaign in World War I.
Oh, the Gallipoli campaign.
Yeah.
I've heard of that.
That was a major disaster for the British.
Yeah, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
A lot of casualties.
And a lot of it came down to poor leadership and, you guessed it, groupthink.
So they were like making bad decisions and just sticking with them.
Yeah, because they were under so much pressure to win.
Yeah, it's like the pressure just got to them.
They just wanted a quick victory. And they ignored all the warning signs.
They didn't want to hear it.
They didn't want to admit they were wrong.
So what happened? Like, how did it play out?
Well, they basically charged ahead with this plan
Okay.
that wasn't working.
Even though it wasn't working.
Yeah, and they encountered really fierce resistance from the Turks.
The Turks were like, nope, not happening.
Exactly.
And the terrain was really difficult.
Yeah, it was a mess
But they just kept going.
because everyone was too afraid to speak up.
To say anything.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a tough lesson.
It is. It is.
But a valuable one, I guess.
Oh, definitely.
So how do we, make sure that doesn't happen to us?
Well, I think the first step is to really encourage open communication in your team.
Open communication.
Yeah, like create a safe space where people feel comfortable sharing their ideas.
Their doubts, too.
Their doubts. Yeah, absolutely.
Even if they disagree.
Exactly. It's about valuing different perspectives.
Not just being like, this is the plan, follow it.
Right, because you never know where the best idea is going to come from.
It might come from the quietest person in the room.
It might.
Yeah.
You never know.
So creating that kind of environment is key.
It is, yeah, it's essential.
Now, shifting gears a little bit,
Right.
Greene also talks about the art of motivating and inspiring others.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah, because leadership isn't just about giving orders, right?
No, not
At all. It's about getting people to buy into a shared vision.
Inspiring them.
Yeah, and making them want to achieve something together.
Making them feel like they're part of something bigger.
And this reminds me of that story about the Chinese general Rangju.
Rangju.
Yeah, from The Art of War.
Oh, I think I've heard of him.
He was known for leading by example.
So, like, he wasn't just sitting back and giving orders.
No, he was right there with his troops.
In the trenches.
Yeah, and he would even eat the same rations as them and do, like, the menial tasks.
Wow, really?
Yeah, like he wasn't above doing any of it.
That's pretty impressive.
And that's what inspired such loyalty in his soldiers.
Yeah, they respected him.
They were like, this guy's the real deal.
He's one of us.
Exactly.
That's powerful.
So it's not just about telling people what to do, it's about showing them.
Actions speak louder than words.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, Greene also explores the strategic use of rewards and punishments.
Oh, yeah, the carrot and the stick.
Yeah.
It's a classic.
But he says you shouldn't just use them randomly, you know?
They got to be meaningful.
They have to be given for the right reasons.
Yeah, otherwise they lose their power.
Exactly. And he uses the example of Hannibal.
Hannibal.
Yeah, the Carthaginian general.
The one who crossed the Alps with elephants.
Yes, that's the one.
That's crazy.
Right. So Hannibal, he had this incredibly diverse army.
Oh, wow, even more challenging.
Carthaginians, Gauls, Iberians, even some Greeks.
Wow, talk about a melting pot.
Keeping them all motivated and unified, I mean, that must have been a real challenge.
Oh, yeah, huge challenge.
So how did he do it?
Well, Hannibal was really smart.
He understood psychology.
Mhm.
He knew that just yelling at his soldiers all the time
Yeah.
wouldn't work.
It would backfire.
Exactly. So instead, he focused on building camaraderie.
Camaraderie.
Yeah, like a sense of brotherhood.
Like they were all in it together.
Exactly. He would even organize games and competitions.
Games.
Yeah.
Like fun stuff.
Yeah, you know, to let them blow off steam.
Oh, okay.
Bond with each other.
So it wasn't just all drills and battle all the time.
No, he knew that they needed some fun too.
To keep their spirits up.
Exactly. And that made them more receptive to his leadership.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
They respected him because he treated them like human beings.
Yeah, not just cogs in a machine.
Exactly. And you know what? I think that's a really valuable lesson for any leader.
It is. It is.
Whether you're leading an army or a team at work.
Creating a positive and supportive environment is so important.
It's not about being like a tyrannical boss.
No, nobody wants to work for someone like that. It's about creating a culture where people feel valued and respected.
And that they can have fun.
And that they can have fun. Yeah.
While still achieving great things.
Exactly.
So now, are you ready to dive into some of the more cunning strategies?
Oh, yeah, bring it on. I'm ready for the dirty warfare.
All right, let's do it. Okay, so now we're getting into some indirect and unconventional warfare tactics.
This is where things get really interesting.
Yeah, this is what Greene calls dirty warfare.
Ooh, dirty warfare.
Right.
Sounds a little underhanded.
Yeah, it is. And, you know, we don't want to encourage anyone to be unethical or anything.
Right, of course not.
But I think it's important to understand these tactics so we can recognize them in real life.
Oh, absolutely. Knowledge is power, right?
Exactly. So we can protect ourselves from being manipulated.
Yeah. And to see how these things play out in different situations.
Exactly.
So what kind of dirty warfare tactics are we talking about here?
Well, one of the strategies Greene talks about is called misperception.
Misperception.
Yeah, it's basically the art of shaping how other people see reality.
Oh, okay, like controlling the narrative.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
And he uses this great example
Okay.
of Themistocles.
Themistocles.
Yeah, he was an Athenian general
Okay.
who totally outsmarted the Persian Empire at the Battle of Salamis.
Oh, wow, the Battle of
Get
Salamis.
out for that one.
Yeah, that was a big
Like,
one.
Persians had this massive navy, right?
Huge. Way bigger than the Greeks.
Yeah, the odds were totally stacked against the Greeks.
So how did Themistocles pull it off?
Deception.
Deception, huh?
Yeah.
Sneaky.
Themistocles, he knew the Persians were overconfident
Okay.
and that they wanted this decisive victory.
They wanted to crush the Greeks.
Exactly. So he sent them a fake message.
A fake message.
Yeah.
What did it say?
He told them that the Greeks were retreating.
Oh, so he tricked them.
Totally tricked them.
Wow.
And the Persians, they totally took the bait.
Hook, line, and sinker.
They sailed their whole fleet right into this narrow strait called Salamis.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Yeah, which is exactly what Themistocles wanted.
Because
those narrow straits, they totally neutralized the Persians' advantage in numbers.
Ah, so he used the terrain to his advantage.
Exactly. The Greeks, with their smaller, more agile ships,
Yeah.
they were able to ambush the Persians.
Wow, and turn their strength into a weakness.
Boo.
That's brilliant.
I know,
It's like a classic underdog story.
It really is. And it all came down to that misperception strategy.
Yeah, he controlled what the Persians believed.
Exactly. And think about it, in our own lives.
Yeah.
We encounter these kinds of things all the time.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like negotiations, right? Where someone's trying to control the narrative.
Spin things to their advantage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So understanding this principle, I think, can help us see through those tactics.
And it get played.
Exactly.
I like it.
Now, another dirty warfare tactic that Greene talks about is psychological warfare.
Ooh, psychological warfare.
Yeah, this is all about using emotions and propaganda,
Mm-hmm.
even like subtle manipulation to influence your opponent.
Interesting.
And Greene uses this example of Martin Luther.
Martin Luther, the Reformation guy.
Yes.
Wow, okay.
He was a master of this.
He was taking on the whole Catholic Church.
I know, right? He was like, I'm not afraid of you.
He was a brave dude.
He was. And he used language so effectively.
Okay, so how did he use psychological warfare?
Well, he publicly exposed all this corruption within the church. He attacked the lavish lifestyles of the clergy
Oh, okay.
and challenged their authority.
So he was undermining their credibility.
Exactly.
Clever.
It wasn't just about theological differences. It was about attacking their moral legitimacy.
Right, so it was like a PR campaign
He kind of was.
to turn public opinion against the church.
Exactly. And that can be so effective.
Especially when you're up against a really powerful opponent.
Yeah, it's about shifting the battleground to an area where you have an advantage.
I see, so it's like finding their weak spot
Exactly.
and exploiting it.
Yeah, so if you're facing a challenge that seems impossible, think about how you can use psychological warfare to level the playing field.
Interesting.
Maybe it's about exposing hypocrisy,
Okay.
or highlighting inconsistencies, or just reframing the narrative to gain support.
Yeah, changing the story.
Exactly.
So we've covered a lot of ground today, haven't we?
We have. From self-mastery to, like, all-out psychological
So
warfare.
it's been quite a journey.
It has. But I think the most important thing to remember is
Yeah.
that true mastery of strategy, it's not about becoming some, like, manipulative mastermind.
Right, it's not about being Machiavellian.
Exactly. It's about using this knowledge to navigate life's challenges with more confidence and wisdom.
Yeah, making smarter decisions.
Exactly.
Whether it's in our personal lives or at work.
And to remember that, like, generals throughout history, they've had to adapt their strategies,
To new situations.
to new situations. Yeah.
So we have to be flexible, too.
Exactly. Be flexible, learn from your experiences, and always be looking for new ways to, like, gain an advantage.
Always be learning.
Always be learning. So even if you never lead an army into battle,
Most of us won't.
right? Hopefully not.
Yeah.
The principles we've talked about today, they can be really powerful tools for navigating your own personal battlefield.
Yeah, because life is full of challenges.
It is.
And we need all the tools we can get.
Exactly. It's about understanding human nature, anticipating what other people might do.
Being a few steps ahead.
Exactly.
Strike it.
So with that, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive into the 33 strategies of war.
Wow, time flies when you're talking about strategy.
It really does. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you've gained some valuable insights.
Yeah, some food for thought.
Some food for thought, yeah, about how to use these principles in your own life.
And remember, like Sun Tzu said, the supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting.
Ooh, that's a good one.
It is.
So think about how you can use strategy to achieve your goals while minimizing conflict.
Exactly.
And as always, we encourage you to keep exploring these ideas on your own.
Yeah, read the book.
The 33 Strategies of War.
It's a great read.
It is. It's full of wisdom.
Lots to learn.
So pick up a copy and keep learning.